The Grip by The Plenteous Life. Living from Rest. Welcome back to The Grip. I'm Becky Henderson, founder and principal coach of The Plenteous Life. Rest is not a place to get to. It's a place to come from. Regardless of which day of the week you designate as your rest day, I'd like you to start seeing it as day one from which the following 6 days will be fueled. Seeing your rest day as the start rather than the end of your week fundamentally shifts it from being a day to crash in exhaustion to a day intentionally designed to support your well-being. Notice that. Today, I'm sharing 5 essential attributes for designing weekly rest. And as we work through each attribute, I'd like you to keep 2 questions in mind. Number 1, what will I do? And number 2, what will I cease to do? These 2 questions, informed by the following 5 essential attributes, will equip you to structure your own day of rest. And with that, let's dive in. Living from rest. 5 essential attributes. Number 1, restorative activity. The big idea here is to set aside the tasks and activities that you usually engage in throughout the week and focus your attention on other activities that recharge and replenish you, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. As long as it's restorative, engage in activities that challenge you differently than the other 6 days of the week. If you normally work inside, spend time outdoors. If you are normally booked with meetings or otherwise around many people, spend some time alone in introspection and reflection. If you generally work with your mind, engage your hands. If you're normally leading, find an outlet where you can follow instead. If your work is emotionally taxing and heavy, take in lighthearted, even silly content. Create an atmosphere where you get to experience more laughter. And keep in mind that sometimes a restorative activity is doing absolutely nothing at all. I've had plenty of rest days like that. Pro tip: pay attention to which activities energize and which deplete you. Recognize that energizing activities for you may absolutely deplete your spouse, kids, and others with whom you do weekly rest, and vice versa. Number 2 of the 5 essential attributes: discipline. When you love what you do for work, your work is often enjoyable and energizing. So you will have to discipline yourself to engage in other activities for your weekly rest. When you're new to this practice, I highly recommend that you identify in advance options for restorative activities for whenever your thoughts or actions drift back towards work. You will drift, I promise. That's part of training your brain to take a break when it's not used to it. Listen, I love coaching my clients. I love writing the grip for you. I love professional development. These things energize and fuel me. And once a week, I put them aside for 24 hours. When I return to them a day later, I am clear, inspired, and much more effective as a result. Even after years of practice, each week I must still consciously choose to focus my mind differently for this window of time. The drift is still present. That's part of being alive. But the habit I've established helps me to quickly recognize the drift when it occurs and to much more easily return to rest. Pro tip: one of the great benefits of weekly rest is the quality of ideas it inspires. The only potential downside to this is, ironically, that these ideas are likely to spontaneously drop into your brain throughout your day off. So keep a notebook, and that could be paper or digital, but keep it handy to quickly capture these ideas before they disappear, and then return your attention to rest. Number 3 of the 5 essential attributes: essential responsibilities. Food. The feeding of people and animals still needs to happen on a day of rest. So how does the person that usually handles this responsibility get a break from cooking when there are hungry mouths to feed? Well, you can prepare meals ahead of time, have others take turns cooking for the day, order out, hire a meal prep service. Get creative, because the chef needs a day off from his or her work too. Children. If you have children, you have the bonus of teaching them to rest as well. Put the homework and devices aside for 24 hours. This is a great time to connect, play, and grow together as a family. Business operations. If your company runs 7 days a week, seriously consider scaling back to 6. The 6-day model implemented by Truett Cathy of Chick-fil-A demonstrates that a rest day for your business can be highly profitable. In 2023, Chick-fil-A made over 20.5 billion, that's billion with a B, in sales. The Chick-fil-A website says this, quote, "Our founder, S. Truett Cathy, made the decision to close on Sundays in 1946. He knew what it was like to work 7 days a week in restaurants, so he saw the importance of letting his employees set aside one day to rest and worship if they choose. That's a practice we still uphold today. If scaling back isn't an option for you, at the very least, organize your leadership so that every person in your business, including you, is taking at least one day off every week." Emergencies. My husband and I call these ass-in-ditch situations. It's taken from a scripture in the New Testament. On a rare occasion, life will throw a curveball that must be dealt with on our scheduled day of rest. When that happens, we deal with it. We get our ass out of the ditch. Then, as quickly as possible, we either get back to our day of rest or we reschedule it for another day that same week. To give you an idea of what I mean by rare occasion, we might have an emergency crop up once or twice a year. Interestingly, the more we practice weekly rest, the fewer emergencies we experience. Pro tip: schedule your prep work for essential responsibilities far enough in advance that you have margin to handle the unexpected in your schedule and still complete your prep work. For example, if your rest day is Saturday, work to have your essential responsibilities sorted by Wednesday of that week. You don't want to be scrambling Friday evening to get them all done. Number 4 of 5 essential attributes: boundaries. A potential challenge of doing weekly rest with others in your household is the wide variety in what constitutes restorative activity for any individual. My husband loves to ideate and contemplate the universe seemingly 24/7, and I'm right there with him 6 days a week. But since I give my thinking mind a break during weekly rest, I even refrain from deep or philosophical conversations on that day. So several years ago, I said to my dear husband, "I respect that you recharge and re-energize by ideating, and I absolutely do not recharge that way. So if you want a sounding board for those kinds of conversations during our rest day, you'll need to phone a friend because Becky's brain is closed for maintenance." And that arrangement has worked really well ever since. Pro tip: take responsibility for knowing what is and isn't restorative for you. Communicate it proactively with others and enforce it. Also, respect that others will pursue restorative activity that is different than yours. And number 5 of the 5 essential attributes: the undivided mind. The resting mind doesn't hustle. The hustling mind doesn't rest. Fully commit to weekly rest and allow yourself to enjoy it fully. There's no sense taking a day off work and spending it fretting over what isn't getting done, ruminating on problems and issues, or periodically answering work email and phone calls. Don't be that guy working on his laptop at the beach. A divided mind serves only to create more stress, so either go all in on your rest or really don't go in at all. Also, if you have lived many years with a divided mind in general, it will take practice to become fully present at rest. So be patient with yourself as you transition into this new mental state. This is where pre-planning your options for restorative activity, as we discussed earlier in the attribute of discipline, will help you. Pro tip: clearly communicate with clients, employees, and others as necessary that you are unavailable during your rest day. You might set an out-of-office message for email and voicemail, letting folks know when you'll be available and who to contact in case of an emergency. There you have it, the 5 essential attributes for creating weekly rest. Use these attributes as a framework upon which to build what you will do and what you will cease to do for your weekly rest. Experiment. Discover what works and what doesn't work. Discover other attributes of rest that are useful for you. In closing, model weekly rest at work and at home. Your people are too important and your mission too critical not to. This has been another edition of The Grip. Let us know in the comments what you do and what you cease to do for rest each week. Let us know how it's working for you. From all of us at The Plenteous Life, may you prosper in every way.